Ja, hallo und herzlich willkommen hier aus den Kontrollräumen der ESA. Ich begrüße euch zu einem ganz besonderen Event zu No Man's Sky. Wir haben es gerade gespielt und vor allem haben wir hier einen ganz besonderen Gast, Sean Murray. Welcome to the show. You're the founder of Hello Games and one of the lead producers on No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I guess I'm a developer on it. I suppose the creator or something like that. But mainly I'm just the programmer on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So No Man's Sky has been in development for 5 years now and it's finally coming out.
Yeah.
How does it feel? Do you feel a little bit of pressure because of all the hype surrounding the game?
Yeah, it's been kind of 3 years where people have known about it. Well, not quite, maybe 2.5, where people have known about the game, which has been a bit crazy. But before that, it was sort of, for about a year, it was just me working on it in my spare time. That sort of doesn't count, right? It's just like evenings and weekends, and then a year where it was me and 3 of my friends who were working on it. And then we showed it to people for the first time, and ever since then, it's kind of been a little bit crazy, and kind of more and more people have found out about it and been excited about it, and that's definitely intense at times, right? But it's not really something I can complain about, right? It's people are making a video game, you know. I'm making a video game and people are excited about it. That's kind of a first world problem, basically. You know?
Absolutely. You also told us that you have been a great science fiction enthusiast when you were a child. So being in a location like this must be pretty exciting for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I feel embarrassed to be here because this is a real place where they do real work and they actually, you know, they actually do rocket science, you know, and being here is incredible. But I feel embarrassed that any of them will see our game and point out, you know, that our ship isn't, you know, aerodynamic or whatever. You know?
Well, they probably won't do that. I hope so, at least. What kind of science fiction influence has come into the game, where you would say, okay, this really comes from my past and my nerdy mind?
I think, yeah, the most obvious thing when people look at the game, even though we have all these like infinite number of planets and things like that, I think you can look at a screenshot of No Man's Sky and know that it's No Man's Sky, you know. And I think what you're seeing when you look at that is the kind of palette and the vibrancy and the shape of things and stuff and the weirdness of some of the things. And that comes from, like, for me, what I think of as science fiction. So like when I close my eyes and think of sci-fi, I don't think of things like zombies or you know, the kind of things that we have in modern sci-fi, you know, the kind of post-apocalyptic wastelands and exactly. I think of the more utopian kind of worlds of like Asimov or Clarke or something like that, where you had kind of covers that had just these amazing, bright, beautiful colors, and normally you're stood on a planet and there's a huge planet on the horizon. Stuff like that, that's just, for me, you know, defined science fiction, right?
Where does it come from that nowadays people more tend to, let's say, darker future perspectives compared to like 20, 40 years ago, where everyone was like, okay, the future is going to be great, and today it's like, oh no, it's going to be wasteland anyway.
Yeah, I think, like, without getting too deep, I think it does, you know, it is a reflection on society, right? Like, the reason, like, we haven't been to the moon since like 72 or something like that, right? But there was this period during the 60s and 70s where technology started to be viewed as like a really amazing thing, right? And you had the space race, and it was kind of like the human race can do anything, and we're going to have flying cars and hoverboards and things like that. And we're still waiting for those things, right? But that was an amazing time. If you look at, like, Star Trek came out of that, and Star Wars, and 2001: A Space Odyssey, and also just the books during that time were like vibrant and hopeful and kind of utopian. Now, like, I always joke that, like, if you're watching a film, so you sit down to watch a film, you're in the cinema, and right at the start, it opens with, like, a scientist in a laboratory, right? And you're like, I know exactly what's going to happen. Like, he's going to cause the outbreak of something that destroys the human race. that, you know, if he's building a robot, that robot's going to kill him first, and then everyone else. Like, the amount of films that start with the scientist, you know, working away, doing good work, doing science, and you know, well, he's the first to die, you know, and then everyone else, and then the world will be wiped out. And it's generally seen as a kind of a, not an evil thing, but a bad thing that can go wrong. Oh, you have to be so careful of technology and stuff like that. And yet, actually, our world is like, you know, so, like, technology is such a part of our lives now, you know. So anyway, that's me getting really deep, but like, you know, it's like, to me, I think if you watch any sci-fi film, or even in games over the last 10 years or whatever, they tend to be quite dark.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Your whole universe is generated automatically.
Right.
Even the animals, the plants, everything, the planets, of course. Isn't it hard for a developer to give your own creativity to a machine, to a algorithm?
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of that, definitely, right? Working on this game has been different to any other game I've worked on. Actually, the reason that we can get an aesthetic across, so that you can look at a No Man's Sky planet and know that it's a No Man's Sky planet, is because we have artists that work on the game, and they draw concept art and stuff like that, and then I'm the programmer, and I have to kind of, like, and others, we have to figure out how to make things look like that, and teach the computer the rules, and they will keep saying to us, like Grant, who's our art director, who's here, will just keep being like, no, we need big planets on the horizon, we need, you know, these crazy colors or whatever. So we have to make that work, which is a really different way of working, right? But also, those artists, they lay down like kind of prototypes for creatures and trees and rocks and things like that. So it works a bit like an MMO, when you're choosing your character at the start and you've got lots of sliders. They build the kind of base character, and then we have the technology that creates all the sliders. And so it means that there's a certain aesthetic. You will see similarities in creatures or rocks or whatever, and it's kind of, it's nice to me that there are certain things like that, certain shapes and stuff like that kind of define the game. Otherwise you would have a mess of everything that's ever been possible ever, and it would be like all games just smashing into each other, you know? And it would be really confusing and not actually kind of a world, a universe that you would want to explore.
Speaking of exploration, you just said that there will also be a multiplayer within the game, but since this universe is so large, there's a pretty little chance that you'll actually be meeting people.
Well, it's interesting actually. So it's not really a multiplayer game. That's not really the way to think about it. Like, there are, like you were saying, there are infinitesimal chances of, you know, very, very small chances of you even coming across a place that another player has been to, right?
I was thinking about it like finding footprints of someone. Like, he once was there, so I can see that there was someone there. And
so the most likely thing that's going to happen is that you are going to come across a planet and some other player has been there and they've named that planet.
Yeah.
And the creatures, and I'm sure they've given it a good name. Something sensible, and they haven't just named it after themselves or, you know, parts of themselves or something like that, right? So that's probably the most likely thing that will happen, and we actually have ways for you to, like, try and search for other discoveries that people might have had, and then you could plot a path towards them. So there's that side of the game. But actually the chances of two people crossing paths are incredibly small. Yeah. And so that's not what the game is about. We have added like little Easter eggs and things like that, and ways that you can get a feeling of there being other people in this universe, but you're not, like, definitely don't go into the game dreaming of, you know, Call of Duty deathmatch across all the planets of No Man's Sky or whatever, you know.
Yeah. You mentioned that the game was actually, when it gets released, it's only going to be the canvas for now, and then you're gonna build up on that?
Well, I think maybe that sells it a bit short. We definitely think that this is a cool game that people should play and stuff like that, and we feel like we're releasing something that we're very happy with, but it's meant to be played in a certain way.
Yeah.
This is a game for people who want to go out and explore, who want to trade and fight and survive in these worlds, right? But there are like so many other things that when I meet people like yourself or anyone who's excited about the game, they'll ask me, they will say, what about, I want to build a house, or I want to build a base, I want to have a shop, I want to own one of those freighters, I want to have deathmatch multiplayer or whatever. And everyone's got a different idea, and everyone, you know, because there's so much potential for this huge universe, right? Everyone's got a different idea, and everyone is so sure that none of the other ideas matter, and just this one, this is the one that you should do. And a lot of them we have ignored because they often change what the game is, and focus in a direction that we don't want, right? Okay. So, for instance, if you can build a base, then there's less reason for you to go and explore. If you're playing with a buddy or whatever, then there's less reason for you to go off to other planets and things like that. It'll just make everyone congregate. So we want our first release of the game to be the kind of vision that we have. And then beyond that, if people are playing it and enjoying it and they want to have other ways of playing, then we might do that, right? As long as they are having fun and are interested in that.
Okay. Final question, and I need a short answer. What's the meaning of the crystal on the No Man's Sky logo?
So that is called the Atlas.
See, I knew it.
Yeah, that is kind of the thing that people are uploading their discoveries to. Okay. But it has a part to play in the game, and people will have to play it to kind of figure that out. I hate giving out spoilers and stuff.
All right. Thank you for your time, and really looking forward playing No Man's Sky.
Brilliant.
Ich bedanke mich bei euch fürs Zuschauen, und No Man's Sky kommt am 9. August raus, am 10. August? Kommt am 10. August raus für PlayStation und PC. Habt Spaß damit und entdeckt das Universum.